Good morning. Welcome to episode 10 of Love, the New Paradigm. This episode is the 4 cornerstones of love at part 7. So there's quite a few parts to this one, but you'll understand why if you've been watching. Let's kick off with a recap. Last week, I explored the 3rd pillar of love, which was knowledge. And I shared an example of what it looks like to truly keep learning about someone that you love. Remember, what I talk about here is not how you understand these particular aspects in everyday life. They're really not. These are within the paradigm of love, which is related to psychoanalytical works written, and theorized in 1950s, and actually beautifully put by an amazing psychoanalyst called Erich Fromm. And it's taken from there. And what it does is it gives you the ability to truly navigate interactions, relationships in everyday life by having a tangible process to look at. When you are trying to understand, have I said something wrong? Am I okay? Was I bad? Was it me? Was it you? This is the paradigm. This is the script. This is the framework that you can use to start to understand that. You don't need to look to anybody anymore. You can go actually within this paradigm, which is a paradigm of love. So if you're using this and you're following it, you're following love. Who doesn't want to follow love? I do. Sure you do. So these are the 4 aspects, obviously the 4 pillars of love that I'm going through. And now we're on the, we're on the 4th today. So this week I'm doing the same with the final pillar, which is responsibility, and why it's so often very misunderstood in relationships. God, it really is. It's not just misunderstood in relationships. It's misunderstood in everyday life. It really is. I'll be covering some key aspects of how responsibility shapes our connections a little later. But first, grab a coffee. Please do. Not a decaf. Go and get caffeinated. Live a little. And let's begin with last week's reflection question and what you shared. So the question last week was, have you mistaken familiarity for truly knowing someone? So just being familiar as opposed to genuinely knowing them based on all of the changes and the shifts that they've had in all of the years that you've known them. What's something that you haven't asked somebody that you love in a while? Just something about them, something about the way they feel about things, about what they like, about what they don't like, about if they've changed their views and opinions on stuff. When is the last time that you asked somebody that you love dearly some of these questions? If you haven't, I'd go ahead and do so. Try asking yourself, where have I settled into familiarity instead of staying curious and intrigued? And this is what you're asking the questions for. They are not to push some psychological awareness so that you can get all, intellectual with them. This isn't to judge. This isn't to blame. This isn't to fix anything. This is out of curiosity and intrigue. Tell me a bit about what makes you tick now. Because we are all ever evolving, ever growing, ever changing. We are transient. Everything is transient. Nothing is permanent. It's not supposed to be. And so what we want to do is we want to be able to learn and keep growing throughout this. And we want to keep asking questions to those that we love by being curious so that we can just stay connected to them as often as possible. What might I come to know if I asked a question I've been avoiding or one I didn't think mattered? To myself or to those that I love. Here's what you shared. I think I stopped asking my wife the small things. After more than 30 years together, I thought I already knew what she likes, what she needs. I wasn't trying to ignore her. I just didn't realize how much I'd started speaking from memory instead of noticing who she is now. But something from your talk stayed with me. That makes me feel good. Last night, I asked her what kind of evenings feel good to her these days. She looked a bit surprised at first. Then she smiled and told me stories from her childhood I'd never heard before. About her dad and how they used to sit and listen to music after dinner. I don't know how I missed that all these years. It made me realize I might never have asked about those parts, not properly. And it felt good to listen, like we'd discovered something new between us, even after all this time. I like that. Isn't that lovely? It's a great example, actually. So thank you. That was from Mikhail. Thank you, Mikhail. I really, really like that. You've sat with that and you've just gone, let me just ask. And this is the thing. There is no set question. There is no particular way. It doesn't need to be some big thing. We've got to stop doing this and making everything a big thing. It can be something as small as, what kind of shoes do you like now and why? And it might seem irrelevant, but it's not, because they'll share something about themselves that they maybe have never told anybody or wouldn't even thought of themselves. And then when somebody asks you a question about you without any expectation, unconditionally, it feels really good, doesn't it? If somebody asked you a question about you for no reason, but just to get to know you a bit better, to not judge it, to not say something about it, to not respond with their own stuff, to just ask you for you, to understand you, to know you, isn't that a lovely feeling? Yeah, it is. And so it's so important that we start doing this, not only with those that we love, but also with ourselves. Ask yourself, how do I feel about things? How do I feel about these shoes? How do I feel about, I don't know, getting up at a particular time? And what could I do differently? How do I feel about that particular, I drink matcha in the mornings. Do I want to change my matcha now that it's been a while? Maybe I do. Well, maybe I can check in and go, hey, are you a bit bored of that? Shall we swap that over? How are you feeling about this? How are you feeling about that? It's really lovely. It's a very loving thing to do. And this is something we really could participate in considerably more. We're not responsible for the emotions of others, but we are responsible for how we respond to them. I'll say that again. We are not responsible for the emotions of others, but we are responsible for how we respond to them. It's about accountability with boundaries and real empathy. Whose quote do you think that is? Come on. You can do it. Brene. It is. Brene Brown. Who doesn't love Brene? God, she's amazing. I love that quote. Why? Because, again, it's so important that we keep reiterating to ourselves and those around us that we are not responsible for how each other feels, okay? We are not responsible for that, but we are fully responsible for managing, one, how we feel. Don't take this out of context. This is the Everyday Joe blogs I'm talking about without any nuances attached to it. But we are responsible for how we feel unless X, Y, and Z. Let's take those out. I'm not doing the unlesses. I'm just doing the general. We are responsible. I'll say it again. We are responsible for how we feel. Okay? We're not responsible for how others feel, but we are responsible for how we respond to others' emotions. And we are responsible for how we respond to ours. That is key. And I'm going to go into that in a bit more detail. So stay tuned. The 4 cornerstones of love, as they are here. What are they? I've been telling you every week. I hope it's going to slowly start to stick. It will take 8 to 16 times of me telling you before it will stick. So don't worry if it doesn't. I'll brainwash you into making it. You're welcome. So, pillar 1, empathy. Pillar 2, respect. Pillar 3, knowledge. Pillar 4, what we're talking about today, with some amazing example. Of course it's amazing. I mean, I wrote it. Well, ChatGPT helped me a little bit. It's responsibility today. So, responsibility in love is our ability to respond to our needs, not just for others, but first for ourselves. It means noticing what we're feeling and needing, and making a conscious effort to respond to those with clarity and care. When we stop paying attention to our own needs, love can start to feel more like a role we're playing rather than something authentic. But when we take responsibility for how we feel and how we respond, we create space for connection that is more genuine, less reactive, or strained. This is when we stop paying attention. I mean, you have to actually start paying attention first before you even got round to stopping paying attention. And this is, again, something we all need to truly understand. Am I paying attention? Am I responding to my emotional needs? My physical needs, my emotional needs, my psychological needs, they are all my responsibility. That's right. I know. I'm sorry, but they are. They are not the responsibility of someone else. Am I responding to them? If I am not, what is it that I need to do to be able to start responding to them? Yeah. And if somebody is coming at you with something, a feeling, it's your responsibility to manage how you respond back. It is not your responsibility for how they feel. Okay. Okay. So from here, we meet ourselves and others with more compassion and less frustration. The world is a happier place. Responsibility becomes less of a weight and more of a quiet force that keeps love grounded and real. That's just poetic, isn't it? It is. Responsibility, the ongoing choice to respond. How many times have you ignored what you were feeling or needing, hoping that things would just settle down on their own, only to end up resentful, distant, or overwhelmed by the time it finally surfaced? Have you asked yourself, what changes when you stop waiting for someone else to get it right and start taking responsibility for what you feel and what you need, with honesty, without blame or judgment towards yourself or anyone else, and with the intention to stay connected and to learn? I'll say that again. When is the last time that you asked yourself, what changes when you stop waiting for someone else to get it right? Stop expecting, stop looking to others to respond to your needs. It is not their job to do that. It's yours. And then start taking responsibility for what you feel and for what you need. This is our responsibility. When we are using love, we will actually have that as a value and a framework. So do you want to use love or do you want to use fear? If you want to use fear, then you can go around blaming everybody and placing your feelings and the responding to them on others. However, if you choose love, then you won't, because the value that you will be adhering to, living by, will be, actually, my feelings are my responsibility and my needs are mine. And I'm now going to go away and start thinking about those, actually, because that's my responsibility to do so. It's not always easy to take responsibility in love. It is not. For 1 second, I do not sit here and go, come on, what's wrong with you? It's easy. It is not. I've been doing this for 16, 17 years, and I tell you something, oof, it's really not easy. But that's not the point. Sometimes we don't even realize we've disconnected from ourselves until the frustration builds or the silence stretches too far. We wait, we hope, or we react, all without checking in first. But the more we practice noticing what's really going on inside, the more space we create to respond instead of react. It's not about getting it right every time. Actually, it's not about getting it right at all. It's just about putting one foot in front of the other, never losing the will to continue, putting one foot in front of the other. You fall over, you fall on the ground, you trip, it doesn't matter. Fall, stay down there if you need to. Dust yourself off. Get up whenever you can and continue. Take a seat, take a rest if you need to. It doesn't matter, but I tell you what, don't lose the will. Keep putting one foot forward. You can do it. I promise you can. It's about willing to practice and stay aware, even when it's challenging and uncomfortable. Truly loving with responsibility means showing up honestly, not by overgiving or staying silent, but by learning how to respond to your own needs so you can meet others without losing yourself. Okay, you're meeting others without losing yourself. That's not easy. This is something I struggle with. This is something I work quite hard on. I'm still working on it, and I will be, I'm sure, till the end of my days, but that's okay. As long as I keep practicing and I keep putting one foot forward, that's it. That's all it takes. It means recognizing our part. Okay. So again, it's not about becoming egoic. It's not about becoming defensive. It's not about attacking. It's not about right or wrong or good or bad. It's just recognizing what's my bit in this and how can I work on that for me, not for them, for me. You're not doing this for someone else. You're doing it for you. And this is the whole point. None of this is about another. It's all about you. It means recognizing our part, speaking our truth, and choosing to respond to each experience with presence, balance, and clarity. Who doesn't want to be present, balanced, and have clarity? Let's look at an example, okay? Everyday life example to go, what does it look like without responsibility, okay? And then we'll look at what it looks like with responsibility. So, here's one that I've got. We've had this Friday dinner planned for ages. She's one of my closest friends. But lately, things have felt a bit different. I got a new job last month and she's barely asked about it. Tonight, she turns up late, doesn't apologize, and spends half the evening on her phone. I tell myself she's probably just stressed or maybe bored of me. I mean, I don't know. I keep the conversation going. I fill the silences. I tell her funny stories from work just to break the weirdness. She laughs, but it feels flat. When I bring up something important, something I was actually hoping to share, she nods, says madness, and changes the subject. My stomach sinks. On the walk home, I replay the whole thing over and over again. I feel irritated, but I don't know if I have the right to be. I mean, was it her, or was it just me being extra or sensitive? I didn't say anything in the moment, so maybe I'm just overreacting. We both acted like it was fine, but it wasn't. And I know there's something weird between us, but neither of us has said anything. Not a nice feeling, right? I'm sure that many of you watching this can relate to that. Yeah, not nice. And it leaves you with a really awful taste, horrible feeling, yucky, yucky. But it doesn't have to be like that. Do you know what? It really doesn't. Here's what it can look like when someone chooses to check in with themselves first and responds with presence instead of retreating in silence. Shall we? With responsibility, we've had this Friday dinner planned for ages. She's one of my closest friends, but lately something's felt off. I got a new job last month and she hasn't really asked about it. Tonight she turns up late, doesn't say anything, and spends half the evening on her phone. At first, I sit with the old story in my head. Maybe she's bored of me. Maybe she just doesn't care. But I pause. I realize I'm feeling hurt, annoyed, and a bit invisible. So I say, hey, I've actually had like a lot going on lately. I was kind of hoping tonight would be a chance to catch up properly. She looks up at me, surprised, a bit blinky. I tell her a bit about how the new job has been. Exciting, but overwhelming, and that I'd noticed she hadn't really asked. She apologizes and says things have been rough with her boyfriend, that she's been pretty distracted. The conversation softens. I leave, not fully settled, but more at peace. I didn't wait for her to notice. I spoke up. That feels like enough, or at least a start. Without responsibility and with avoidance. What happens when we are not responding to our needs is unspoken needs are there, growing tension, emotional distance, and silent resentment. This is not good. This is not good. That energy stays in that relationship and between you both. And nobody actually really knows what's going on properly. The other person has no idea. And you don't really know what's going on because you haven't asked. So everything it is that you're thinking is a story. It's a narrative. It's assumptions. Okay. And it's coming from a place of avoidance. Why are you avoiding? Is it that you don't feel confident? Is it that you're scared to say how you feel? Is it that you don't even know how to articulate it? Something to think about. The focus stays on discomfort or disappointment without reflection or response. You know, she'll go away and she'll be really just, it will be looping in her mind over and over. She might talk to some of her friends about it. She might not. It will just loop and she'll not really have an answer, and it will impact the relationship considerably on something that nobody's actually talked about. That's really, really unhealthy. At least talk about it, if nothing else. Coming to a resolution is not the point here. It's actually just being able to have some communication over it. There is no right or wrong. There is no good or bad. Remember, she is not responsible for how I feel. However, I am. And now I'm going to actually respond to that by going, hey, I'm just going to tell you how I'm feeling. What she chooses to do with it is up to her. It really is. Doesn't mean something will change, but that's not the point. It ends with one or both people feeling confused, unsettled, disconnected, and unsure how to move forward. Now, what does it look like with responsibility and without avoidance? So with responsibility, being assertive, really, communicating assertively is what's happened here when we are responding to our needs. We're taking a step. We are acting upon it. Self-awareness, assertive communication, clearer boundaries, and emotional presence. I am there with you in the room, communicating to you how I feel. I know this can be uncomfortable. I find it uncomfortable, but it's something that we've got to start practicing doing more often. If you want to have deep, connected relationships, then this is a part of that. You have to be able to say how you feel. It's a non-negotiable in terms of depth and emotional intimacy in a relationship. Without it, it won't be able to be a solid, bonded, grounded, healthy relationship. The focus shifts to recognizing what's needed and responding with care and respect. Respect, that word there, it's in capitals because it's actually respect, as in the second pillar of love. So respect. I have the right to be me and you have the right to be you. It's really important. That's why when you are communicating and sharing how you feel, you are not doing it so that the other person now must change. No, that is not why we communicate. We communicate because we are respecting ourselves. We are standing up for ourselves and we are responding to our needs by building knowledge on how we're feeling to then let somebody know. What they choose to do with now what I have shared is up to them. My job is to communicate it. Their job is to choose to do what they are going to do with it. Remember that. It's important. It ends with more clarity, mutual respect, and a sense of steady connection, even when things aren't perfect. Again, the aim of the game is not happiness, joy, and everybody skipping and jumping. That is not what this is about. But this is about clarity and a mutual respect, which is I have the right to be me and you have the right to be you. And I will share with you how I'm feeling. And you have the right to go, well, I'm stressed too, so sorry. And that's fine. Or, God, I'm really sorry, I didn't know. Let's make a bit more of an effort, whatever it may be. What's the real lesson here? It's a good question. The real lesson is responsibility is not about control or blame. It's about how we choose to show up. How we choose to show up. When we stop waiting to be understood and start owning what we feel and need, something shifts. That's when real connection begins, not through pressure or perfection. Responsibility strengthens love by making space for our truth, for care, and for clarity, because that's what this is all about, bringing about some clarity, not in this confusion, assumption, looping place. You're not going to stay in your mind, in your head. You're going to be able to come out, be present, say what you need to say, bring about clarity with care, with love, without judgment and without blame. You don't judge and blame yourself. You don't judge or blame another. No need for it. Not once, but through the ongoing practice of responding with honesty, presence, and compassion with ourselves and those we love. I say this because it's important that we understand this is not a one-off thing that you do and everything will be okay in this relationship. No, not at all. This is an ongoing process. Love is an activity. It is like a garden. If you do not continue to participate and take care of your garden, just because you did it for 10 years or just because you did it 3 times, it doesn't mean now you never need to do it again. That garden is going to need you to tend to it consistently for the rest of your life. So it's really important that we remember that it's an ongoing, consistent practice. Love is an ongoing, consistent practice, just like fear is. If you're going to stay in fear, you're going to continue to practice from that place and you're going to behave from that place. You know, fear is also something that you are actively participating in. The thoughts, you're actively participating in them. The actions, the behaviors, the words. If it's paranoia, you are continuing to feed the paranoia with more energy, with more thoughts, with more assumptions and more narratives and more scenarios that may or may not be the case and more outcomes and perspectives. I could choose to feed that or I can choose not to. Well, we could choose to feed the garden of love instead, as opposed to the hellhole of fear. It's up to you really, isn't it? And it is. It's up to you. So again, love is a practice. Each pillar is a practice. Hence why understanding it from this place makes it more tangible for you. Okay? For those that need to be able to go, well, I don't know what my values are. Well, if you want to, you can use these. These are brilliant. These are brilliant and they work beautifully and they are there to look after you, to keep you safe, but they're also there to love and be compassionate and empathic towards others. So it's a win-win really, isn't it? Do you ever catch yourself hoping someone else will just know what you need without you having to say it? Bet you do. I know I have done. Do you push through, stay quiet or hold it in, then feel frustrated when no one seems to notice? Have you ever tried naming what you feel and need simply and clearly? Giving the people who care about you a real chance to be there for you. Now, as a psychotherapist, I see this a lot. People tell me about how lonely they feel, how misunderstood they feel, how they feel like no one cares. And when I ask them, have you ever communicated clearly in a balanced way, just and simply how you feel, why you feel that way and what you would prefer? Have you done that? And they'll look at me and go, well, kind of, but they should know. How? How should they know? We are not mind readers. Your loved ones are not mind readers. They are not fortune tellers. They are not able to look into the future, okay? And they're not able to read your mind and they're not able to just know. Everybody's got a lot going on, especially in this day and age. Everybody's got a lot going on. Everybody's quite clearly stressed out about something, and that's understandable. And so in this day and age, when everybody's got a lot on their plate, please don't assume that they should just know, because that's not nice, because they won't just know. And even if they do just know, if they've got their own stuff going on, they'll be lost in that. And it's understandable. So it's important that you understand it's your responsibility to communicate that. It's really important. So if you feel lonely and like nobody cares, then ask yourself, what am I doing to respond to that need of mine? Yeah, not what is everybody else doing? Nothing. Oh, that's why I'm lonely. No. I want you to ask yourself, what can I do? And take those steps. There is support out there for you as well, but you've got to take those steps. You've got to put one foot forward. It's really, really important. Question for reflection. Please do have a think about this. Take it away. Answer it. Think about it. What would it take for you to tell someone you love how you're really feeling, or what you need from them? What would it take for you to tell someone you love how you're really feeling, or what you need from them? Try asking yourself, what holds me back from naming what I need with clarity and care? What might open up if I gave myself permission to speak, even if it feels scary and vulnerable? And again, you're just asking yourself these questions. Okay. If you are in a situation where it really is scary, then obviously that is not what we would ever want you to do. However, if it's more anticipated fear, anxiety related, which actually more about just the fear of how I'm going to feel or what somebody might say, well, then you really want to have a look at that. Closing thoughts. I know all good things must come to an end. Taking responsibility isn't something we do once. It's a practice we return to, especially when things feel messy or unclear. It asks us to stay honest with ourselves, to name what we need, and to show up with care and compassion, even when it feels easier to shut down, even when it's challenging, even when it's uncomfortable, even when it's scary. In a world that often teaches us to hide how we feel, to stay silent and hope others will fix it, or to place the blame elsewhere, choosing to respond with presence is an act of love. It's what keeps our connections honest, steady, and able to grow through change. What would it take for you to tell someone you love how you're really feeling or what you need from them? Check out my video next week where I will not dive deeper into responsibility because obviously I've just done that today. So that's a little error on my slide, but where I will then be looking at the other components of love. So now we've hit the 4 pillars. You're going to start looking at the other aspects that are related to love, okay? And then putting it all into practice because this is a framework and I'll be giving you the nuts and bolts of it. Thank you so much for joining me. Pleasure as always. Drop a like, drop a comment in the comments section below and tell me how wonderful my video was and I'll go thank you. Write your reflections in the comments below. I'd love to hear what came up for you. If you have any questions or insights, send them over and I might include them in the video next week. Remember, which do you choose to be, superhero or a villain? Because we need more superheroes. So I'll see you soon. Bye.